conservatives on school districts calling for book bans. We're broadcasting on our Facebook fan page, The African History Network, The African History Network, and our YouTube channel, Michael Imhotep, Imhotep. Also here on 910 AM Superstation WFDF. Welcome to the African History Network show. It is Friday, October 15th, 2021. We made it through another Friday. So we're going to talk about a couple of topics that are discussed on Roland Martin Unfiltered today. Toni Morrison, BlackAmericaWeb.com had an article about this. We posted an article about this story. Black America Web had an article from October 13th, 2021. Toni Morrison and other race-related books requested to be banned by Virginia Beach School Board member. Toni Morrison and other race-related books requested to be banned by Virginia Beach School Board member. Okay. And we know that when we look at these proposed school bans, in some cases, books were banned. And then like York, Pennsylvania, the ban was released after, a few months or so, something like that. We see that these book bans target books by usually non-white authors or books that pertain to history, that pertains to African Americans and Asian Americans, Latinos, etc. So we're seeing this backlash. This is a continuation of the backlash to the Black Lives Matter protest that took place during the summer of 2020 behind the killing of George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery and Breonna Taylor, things like this. This is part of that backlash that we're seeing here. Okay, so we'll discuss this, dealing with, and it's a crazy story. This is in Virginia Beach. Okay, Virginia Beach City Public Schools, Virginia Beach City Public Schools. This is a crazy story. And then some of you may have heard out of Texas. There's so much going on in Texas, and usually it's not something good that we hear, unfortunately, when it comes to Texas. But some of you may have heard that the Texas state legislature is redrawing the district lines when it comes to congressional districts. And Texas Representatives Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green, who are both African Americans, not Al Green, Love and Happiness Al Green, okay, not that Al Green, but their district lines are going to be redrawn, and it could cause them to face off in an election against each other, okay, and this district line is being redrawn by Republicans. Well, we spoke with Representative Al Green of Texas, who represents Houston. We spoke with him today on Roland Martin Unfiltered. So we're going to share an excerpt of that interview also. Now, this is an example of how elections have consequences. Okay, this is another glaring example of how elections have consequences. And this is an example of the census as well. Okay, because if you have a city that loses a population count, then they can lose a seat in the House of Representatives, or more than one seat, hypothetically, in the House of Representatives, because representation in the House of Representatives is based upon population. Okay, currently the 435 members of the House of Representatives, they each represent 710,000 people. That's how large a district is, a congressional district is, based upon the results of the 2010 census. Well, we know the census, the results of the 2020 census are out, and they are state legislatures are redrawing district lines based upon the results of the 2020. Okay, now we saw a report that came out a couple of days ago that says the count for African Americans could be undercounted by 2 million. On Roland Martin Unfiltered on Thursday, Dr. Greg Carr, chair of the Afro-American Studies Department at Howard University, said maybe they should look at just throwing out the census and doing it again. Okay, so all this deals with politics. Politics is the legal distribution scarce wealth, power, and resources, and the writing of laws, statutes, ordinances, amendments, and treaties, their adoption, interpretation, and enforcement. And we know politics impacts every aspect of our lives, from the water we drink to the air we breathe to the food we eat. Okay. All that is impacted by politics. Now, so we'll discuss those two stories. And then also, we know that today is the 55th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, October 15th, 1966 in Oakland, California. So I'm going to share a excerpt of an interview with Huey P. Newton, co-founder of the Black Panther Party for self-defense, and member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, my fraternity. We're going to share an excerpt of Huey P. Newton talking about the formation of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. And then also we'll give you some more information about the online courses that I teach on the weekend, Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school, and from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. Now, on the African History Network show, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world, because right now it corrects your own behavior. What you do for yourself, what you do to yourself, and what you allow other people to do to you and get away with is based upon what you think about yourself. What you think about yourself is based upon what you have been taught about yourself. What you've been taught about yourself is based upon everything you've read, heard, and seen about yourself. So when you control the radius of a man or woman's thoughts, you can control the circumference of his or her actions, because the mind can't do or teach what it doesn't know. Now, we deal with a number of different topics here on the African History Network show. We deal with current events, history, politics, education, economic empowerment, entrepreneurship, relationships, love, sex, health issues, and much, much more. Sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Text the word Kemet, K-E-M-E-T, to 22828 to sign up for our email newsletter. Or visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We also have information right on the homepage of our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, about the Social Justice Conference 2021 at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church. The main day is Saturday, October 16th, 2021. It's 8 a.m. to 2 p.m. My workshop is 10 a.m. in room 306. I'll be dealing with Black liberation theology as a tool to fight white supremacy. I'll also have a vendor booth there in the marketplace as well, in the lunch area, in the eating area. Keynote speaker is going to be Minnesota State's Attorney General Keith Ellison. Minnesota State's Attorney General Keith Ellison, who led the prosecution of Derek Chauvin in the murder of George Floyd. Tickets are $25 for the entire conference. You can pay at the door. Also let them know that you want to go to my workshop, room 306, 10 a.m. And we have the information at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. You can also visit hmbcdetroit.org, hmbcdetroit.org, which is the website for Hartford Memorial Baptist Church here in Detroit also. Okay, hmbcdetroit.org. All right, I want to jump into this first topic here. So I saw this story. I saw Representative Sheila Jackson Lee on, I saw her on MSNBC today. I think she was on Nicole Wallace's show, Deadline White House. And then we got a chance to talk to Representative Al Green today on Roland Martin Unfiltered. But these are the dirty tricks that Republicans play. April Ryan for thegrio.com has a good article dealing with this. Texas reps Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green could face off due to Republican gerrymandering. There's also a big article in the Washington Post about this as well. Texas Republicans congressional map carves up Rep Jackson's district, siphoning off thousands of Black constituents. Okay, this is the whole game that they're running. Okay. And they're trying to, this is the Republican controlled state legislature that's trying to punish African Americans more for voting and suppress our vote and take away one of our representatives in the House of Representatives. Now, Republican gerrymandering in Texas could result in a situation where longtime U.S. Rep Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green are forced into a double bunk election during the next congressional term. This round of redrawing the congressional districts efforts this round of redrawing efforts that are expected, quote, will severely impact Houston, Texas area. Severely impact the Houston, Texas area, the Griot has learned from a high-ranking source on Capitol Hill. Now, it's not uncommon for state legislatures to make two African-American federal elected officials face off in an election against one another. U.S. Congresswoman Alma Adams of North Carolina told the Griot that she has seen the double bunking of congressional seats before. One incident Representative Adams cites is from 2011 and 2012, when the redrawing of districts in North Carolina cut a lot of black women lawmakers in the same way redistricting is shaping up in Texas. Now, in addition to violating voting rights, the Texas Republican legislature is accused of, quote, drawing the maps on racial lines, end quote, is accused of drawing the maps on racial lines. We're going to continue this on the other side of the break. We're going to let you hear from Representative Al Green. And I asked him the question about the Supreme Court case of Chameleon versus Lightfoot, which is what happened when the Alabama state legislature back in 1957 tried to redraw the district in Tuskegee, Alabama. Okay, you listen to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm Michael Imhotep. We'll be back in a few minutes. Stand by. Stand by. How's everybody doing? Stand by. Back from break in 4 minutes. Stand by. Okay, stand by, everybody. Back from break in 4 minutes. How's everybody doing? Share this broadcast on your social media platforms. Invite your friends to tune in. Stand by. Back from break in 2 minutes. Stand by. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on that. Okay.
10, the Superstation, Detroit's only African American talk radio.
Stand by. Back from break in 1 minute. Okay, I guess we're back now. Welcome back to the African History Network show right here on 910 a.m. the Superstation, the Future Radio. I'm your host, Brother Michael Imhotep. It is Friday, October 15th, 2021. And we are live. Hope everybody's doing well. Calling numbers 313-778-7600. 313-778-7600 is the call-in number if you have a question or comment. 313-778-7600. So right before the break, I was talking about the story here out of Texas, where Texas Representative Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green, both of the Congressional Black Caucus, both represent Texas. Because of gerrymandering, because of redistricting that the Republicans are doing, redrawing the district lines that Republicans are doing in the state legislature, they also redraw the district lines of congressional districts, okay, of the House members of the House of Representatives, the 435 members in the House of Representatives. Those congressional district lines are redrawn by the state legislature. So if we look at this article here, this piece April Ryan wrote for thegrio.com, Texas Reps Sheila Jackson Lee and Al Green could face off due to Republican gerrymandering. And this is all designed to knock one of them out of the House of Representatives, okay, which gives an advantage to Republicans. In addition to violating voting rights, the Texas Republicans legislature is accused of drawing the maps on racial lines. We're going to go to clip. Let's see. We're going to go to clip. I think that's clip number 3 with Representative Al Green. We're going to go to clip number 3, Ed, here in just a second. Now, sources close to Representative Sheila Jackson Lee and Representative Al Green contend that they do not plan to run against one another, but plan to fight the potential move in court. The Texas members of Congress are currently sharing the same attorney in this matter. So far, there is no court date, as they have to wait on the Republican majority Texas House of Representatives to draw up their plan. Now, these same Democrats have faced this challenge before. During the last time the state legislature took up the redrawing of districts, which was 2010, Representative Al Green and Representative Sheila Jackson Lee won the court battle then and were able to stand on the pre-clearance portion of the Voting Rights Act of 1965 that was still intact at the time. That was in 2010, but we know the that section 5 was struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court case of Shelby County versus Holder, 2013. We spoke with Representative Al Green. We spoke with Representative Al Green today on Roland Martin Unfiltered. Let's go to this clip, Ed.
All right, the proposed new maps in Texas may pit 2 black lawmakers against each other if the maps get approved. Members of Congress, Al Green, Sheila Jackson Lee, are both from Houston. They may face off in the next congressional election if the plan that the GOP is putting forth becomes law. Both members of Congress plan to go to court to fight this move if it is passed. Joining me now is Congressman Al Green out of Houston, Texas. Frat, glad to have you back on the show. What the Republicans are trying to do is they want to consolidate 2 so-called black districts, shifting voters elsewhere. What is your assessment of what they're trying to get away with in our home state?
Well, if they can get away with it, what they would do is eliminate a person from Congress by gerrymandering the person who's been elected out of Congress. As you know, the House is very close, just a handful of votes separating the 2 parties. They pick up 2 additional seats here in Texas, gerrymander one person out. That's 3 seats in Texas alone. So we have good reason all over this country to be concerned about this type of activity, because if it succeeds here, it won't end here.
And what we're seeing, not only this, so this is a headline in the Texas Tribune. Folks, go to my iPad. With surgical precision, Republicans draw 2 congressional districts that dilute power of Hispanic and Asian voters, because what they've been getting their butts kicked in the Texas suburbs in Houston and Dallas. And so they are trying to maintain white power by screwing over minority voters in Texas.
Absolutely. The 38th district that was drawn just outside of Houston is going to elect an Anglo, a Republican. It's designed to do such. You couple that with what's happening with the 18th and the 9th, and then you couple that with the fact that the growth in Texas, 95% of it was among minority persons. So the people who bring the seats to Texas will not benefit from the seat, and they get closer to the 218 in the House. It's more than politics, however, because the only two people in the state pitted against each other from the same party happen to be African Americans. I think it's a little bit more than politics when you see this kind of thing happen.
Well, here's the subhead of this Texas Tribune article. The GOP is losing its hold on suburbs of Dallas and Fort Worth as they grow more diverse. Two proposed districts show how far the party is reaching to entrench rural white electoral power. Again, by screwing over black voters in Houston, same thing. This is about white power. This is what the whole deal is. 95% of all of the population growth in Texas in the last 10 years has been from non-white voters. Yet the Republican Party is trying to reward whiteness.
Well, the Republican Party has tried not only this as a means of holding on to power, they're challenging elections. As you know, the president at that time, Trump, he carried Texas. Yet there's a desire to recount ballots in Texas. They're setting up this scheme such that even when they lose, they can claim they won. And if they have people in proper places, they can challenge elections. What happened at the Capitol was no accident. Those people were there to challenge the election. They were there to subvert the election. And if they had gotten away with it, only God knows what this country would be like today. I believe that there is this sincere effort on their part, while I don't think it's a good thing, to bring Trump back to office. And if they can bring him back and they can do it with impunity, then they will have the opportunity to run this country with probably little oversight, because we know now that the only thing he can do when a president is engaged in transgression is impeach him. Literally, that's what you have to do. And if they have the Senate or the House, there won't be impeachment.
And what we're also seeing here is very simple. We're seeing the impact of voting. We're seeing what happens. One, we're seeing what happens when folks don't vote, and therefore Republicans are in control of the Texas legislature. We're also seeing what happens, frankly, when people don't fill out their census. Because we reported yesterday about the undercount of black voters. When Texas chose not to even spend money on the census, then when they realized late in the game, oh my goodness, we could potentially lose out, and they tried to hurry up and ramp up because they did not want to count black and Latino voters. Here's a graphic here that shows who's going to be losing. 7 states will lose House seats: California, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, and West Virginia. If you look at those states, California is blue, Illinois is blue, Michigan, even though Biden won, is red. New York is blue, Ohio is red, Pennsylvania is red, West Virginia is red. They're going to try to knock Democrats out. Now in Illinois, you have Republican Adam Kinzinger, who is complaining that Democrats have redrawn his district, but you have Republicans in Florida who want to redraw the district. They want to take over the House literally by just redrawing districts in Texas and Florida.
Gerrymandering put people out of office, literally. I said it earlier, and I'll say it again. Jackson Lee and I were duly elected. We were elected from districts that were approved by the courts, because last time we had to file lawsuits. And now there's an effort to gerrymander out of office people who were duly elected by the people in Texas. But Texas has proven to be the proving ground, if you will. This is where trial balloons are floating. And if they can succeed in Texas, they can succeed elsewhere. Remember, Texas was the state that had white primaries. And when the Supreme Court said, Texas, you can't have a white primary in 1944, Texas then went to white pre-primaries. This has been the state that has been before the courts since we've had that Voting Rights Act, Texas has always been in and out of court. We cannot allow them to succeed in Texas. So I'm asking persons to please understand what's at stake and govern yourselves accordingly.
And obviously, you and Congresswoman Jackson Lee are prepared to go to court if necessary. Are you going to make the argument that this effort here dilutes the voting power of Black voters?
We'll make that argument, coupled with the fact that it separates communities of interest, coupled with the fact that the persons who happen to be holding office are persons of African ancestry. And quite frankly, there can be some invidious discrimination involved in this. We take all of these arguments. I don't think we leave anything on the table, and I think we take it all the way to the Supreme Court if we have to. But the important thing to remember is what you said earlier. We must vote. We must vote. When we fail to vote and we lose the presidency and we see judges appointed to the Supreme Court using 51 votes, not going to cloture to get this done, then we understand how important this vote is. That Supreme Court is an entity that can make a difference in the lives of people. 435 members of Congress and 100 senators can vote to make something a law, and the Supreme Court with 9 members, 5 of them voting for something, can change it. 5 people on the Supreme Court can undo what 535 members of the House and Senate have done.
Okay, pause right there. All right, we're going to go to that second segment at 2609. We're going to that in just a minute here. Okay, so that was Representative Al Green of Houston, Texas. And just a couple of things, I had some graphics up on the screen while he was speaking. So this one right here, shows the results of the 2020 census this shows the results of the 2020 census as it relates to states gaining a seat in the House of Representatives or states losing a seat in the House of Representatives. This is courtesy of ABC News. States that gained a seat: Colorado gained 1, Florida, Montana, North Carolina, Oregon, they all gained 1 seat. Texas gained 2 seats, as Representative Al Green just said. Losing seats: California loses 1, Illinois, Michigan, New York, Ohio, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, they all lose a seat. New York, I think it was about 89 more people had responded to the census and sent back the census, New York would have maintained a seat in the House of Representatives. Okay, 89 total. It doesn't have to be 89 individual households. It can be 10 households with 9 people living in it. Okay, 89 responses. Now, the seats in the House of Representatives are also, we're going to Toni Morrison in just a minute. The seats in the House of Representatives are also related to the Electoral College. This is what people don't understand. First thing you should do is read the U.S. Constitution, because the U.S. Constitution explains all of this. What determines how many Electoral College votes a state gets is based upon population and the results of the census. Because the district lines are drawn based upon the results of the census. The census is not only the redistribution of about $1.5 trillion in resources, but it also impacts presidential elections. Because to become president-elect, it goes to the first candidate that gets 270 Electoral College votes. Well, it's not the Electoral College voting that determines who the president-elect is. It's who gets 270 Electoral College votes. How do you get Electoral College votes? You get it by winning the seats. You get it by winning the popular vote in each state. So currently, Michigan has 16, California has 55, Texas has 38. In 2016, the election was November 8th, 2016. Donald Trump won Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania. Those 3 battleground states, he won the Electoral College votes associated with those states. He won Michigan by 10,704 votes. He won those 3 battleground states, Michigan, Wisconsin, and Pennsylvania, about 78,000 popular votes, which means he won the electoral college votes associated with those states, which then put him over 270 electoral college votes, and he became president-elect the morning of November 9th, even though Hillary Clinton ended up with 3 million more popular votes overall. And the electoral college didn't vote until the first Monday following the second Wednesday in December, which is when the electoral college votes. So the electoral college didn't vote until, I think it was December 19th, 2021. They vote the first Monday following the second Wednesday in December. But you become president-elect by getting over 270 electoral college votes. You win electoral college votes by winning the popular votes in the state. People don't understand this. So you got dumbasses saying, oh, we don't choose the president, electoral college choose the president. How do you win electoral college votes? It's by the popular vote in the state. Republicans understand that. Many of us don't, which is why they engage in rampant voter suppression tactics, especially in key battleground states. So when you engage in, and when you try to suppress the turnout, the results of the census, and if you can suppress the results of the census, and people in Michigan and Georgia, or Michigan and California, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Illinois, especially those states that lean Democratic, if you can suppress their turnout when it comes to, or results when it comes to the census, you can shave off seats in the House of Representatives that Democrats hold and Republicans gain seats. And this is all geared toward tilting the balance of power in the electoral college towards Republicans. This is why the census is so important. First thing you got to do is read the U.S. Constitution, because the U.S. Constitution created the census. First census was taken in 1790. We're going to go to clip. We're going to go to this second segment here at 2609. So I get a chance to ask Representative Al Green a question. Let's go to this clip.
Questions from my panelists. I'll first start with you, Brianna.
Is that at 2609?
Yes, thank you.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Go to stop at 26. No, go to 3130. Go to 3130 in that clip. That's me. Okay, we're going to go to this. And one of the things I ask him about is the U.S. Supreme Court case in 1960 of Chameleon versus Lightfoot. Chameleon versus Lightfoot out of Alabama. Let's go to this clip.
We can't waste our time trying to convince them that they should vote a certain way. We have to bring in new voters. And in Texas, we've got plenty of new people coming into their own, and we have to bring them into the process. There are young people who are organizing currently to do just this. And then we mobilize them, and we get them to the polls. So we have to expand our base. The potential is there for us to expand our base. We simply have to work it. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be something that can happen overnight, but it can happen by the next election. We can bring enough people into the process to offset those who refuse to do anything other than seek power for power's sake, as opposed to doing the things that can be of benefit to the constituents we serve.
Michael.
Representative Al Green, thanks for coming on today and sharing this information with us. I'm glad you talked about a lawsuit and taking this to court. And I wanted to relate this to what happened in 1957 in Alabama, where the state legislature tried to redraw the district lines in Tuskegee, Alabama, to lock out almost all of the 400 African-American registered voters, leave in about 1,300 white voters. And this went to the U.S. Supreme Court, the case of Chameleon versus Lightfoot, 1960 U.S. Supreme Court case. And the Supreme Court ruled in favor of the African-Americans. And they said it was unconstitutional to redraw the district lines, and they said it was based upon race. One of the other things the African-Americans did to fight back is they launched economic boycotts in Tuskegee against white businesses and shut down about 100 businesses. The boycotts went on for 4 years. So have you studied that case of Chameleon versus Lightfoot, 1960, number one? Number two, is there any talk about economic boycotts against corporations to help finance these Republicans that redrew these district lines?
Well, I went to Tuskegee Institute of Technology. I made engineering there. I was a part of the protest there on the campus. I was there when we decided that we were no longer going to divide the leadership. At one time, there was a pattern of African Americans could only have certain positions, couldn't become mayor, could hold some other lower positions. Well, the young people on the campus at Tuskegee got engaged in that process, and change came about. So I'm familiar with Tuskegee, but I'm also very much familiar with the fact that you can engage in selective bargaining. I was the president of the Houston branch of the NAACP for about a decade. One of the things that we learned early on that you have to be very careful with your language. People can choose to buy from whomever they want, but you have to be careful how to style that buying. I think the NAACP in Houston is very much active and is looking into means by which we can marshal our forces, make sure we get people registered to vote, and make sure we get them to the polls on election day.
All right.
Okay, pause it right there.
Congressman Al Green.
Pause it right there. Okay, so that's Congressman Al Green of Houston, Texas, U.S. House of Representatives. So we're going to talk about this some more on Sunday's show, and we'll get into Chameleon versus Lightfoot, and we'll get into what happened when the state legislature in Alabama, these white supremacists in 1957 tried to redraw the district lines. I understand his response. He didn't say he supported a boycott, things like that. And then when we look at the case of Chameleon versus Lightfoot, we see that there was a lawsuit that was filed against Charles Chameleon, who was the dean at Charles Chameleon. He was the dean at Tuskegee Institute. Okay. And the lawsuit, because he called for boycotts, but when they went to court, they said basically he said just buy from your friends. Okay. But what happened was that boycott ended up shutting down 100 white-owned businesses. It very quickly here, if we look at this, and then we're going to go to clip one dealing with Toni Morrison. If we look at this here, this is from Global Nonviolent Action Database. Black citizens boycott white merchants for U.S. voting rights. Tuskegee, Alabama, 1957 to 1961. This economic boycott lasted 4 years. Okay. Here's the background information. In 1957, in an effort to frustrate increasing Black voter registration and the threat of losing a white voter majority, Alabama State Senator Sam Inglehart, a white supremacist, sponsored Act 140, which proposed to transform the Tuskegee city boundaries from a square into now pay attention to this, into a 28-sided shape resembling a seahorse. They wanted to redraw the white supremacists in the state legislature there in Alabama wanted to redraw the district lines in 1957 in Tuskegee, Alabama, redraw the district lines from a square to a 28-sided shape resembling a seahorse. They were doing this on purpose with surgical precision. Now, this 28-sided shape resembling a seahorse that included, if they redrew this district lines like this would include every single one of the 600 white voters and exclude all but 5 of the 400 African-American voters. When you research this case, and I have, this is at a time when the literacy rate of African-Americans was higher in general than the literacy rate of white people in Tuskegee because of Tuskegee Institute. Sam Inglehart, Alabama State Senator Sam Inglehart, a plantation owner and executive secretary of the Alabama Association of White Citizens Councils, the White Citizens Councils, He explained, quote, "The folks up there feel like I do. Civil rights legislation is going to pass the United States Senate either this year or the next, and we're going to be prepared for it. We couldn't stand seeing a Negro in the Alabama legislature," end quote. When you go research this some more, he talks about how we gerrymandered those N-words. So African Americans struck back economically, redistributing the pain through targeted, sustained economic boycotts. According to Charles Chameleon, a dean at the Tuskegee Institute and president of the Tuskegee Civic Association, the TCA, this was the straw that broke the camel's back. He said, already frustrated by the Macon County Board of Registrars' failure to register black voters, Charles Chameleon and several other African-American leaders decided to initiate a merchant boycott, redistribute the pain through targeted sustained economic withdrawal strategies. And this is the same thing Dr. King said April 3rd, 1968 in his last speech, "I've been to the mountaintop." He said, "We have to always anchor our external direct action with the power of economic withdrawal." Just 4 days after the Alabama State House vote, 3,000 African Americans gathered at Butler Chapel AME Zion Church to join the Crusade for Citizenship, and listen to Charles Chameleon urge a trade with friends boycott of local white merchants. He vowed, quote, "We are going to buy goods and services from those who help us, from those who make no effort to hinder us, from those who recognize us as first-class citizens," end quote, and not, quote, "with those who would seek to devour us," because we have to stop financing our own dehumanization and redistribute the pain through targeted, sustained economic boycotts, targeted, sustained economic withdrawal strategies. Yes, we should buy from those who support us regardless of race, but first, like Marcus Garvey said, race first. We're going to continue this on Sunday. They won this lawsuit, went to the U.S. Supreme Court, 1960 U.S. Supreme Court ruling, Chameleon versus Lightfoot, and the gerrymandered lines that were redrawn were struck down by the U.S. Supreme Court. All right, let's go to, we're going to go to clip one here because people want to talk about Toni Morrison. So you got this crazy school board member in Virginia Beach City, that wants to ban a number of books. One of them is Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, okay? And let's go to this, because we talked about this on Roland Martin and Filter Day. Let's go to this clip, Ed.
Well, a Virginia woman is doing all she can to remove 6 books from Virginia Beach schools, including Toni Morrison's The Bluest Eye, which this fool admits she hasn't read. School board members Victoria Manning and Laura Hughes have come together to demand that 4 books be removed from curriculums based on pornographic nature. Those books include Lawn Boy by Jonathan Evison, Gender Queer by Maya Kabai, A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest Gaines, and The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Listen to what she had to say about Morrison's book specifically.
The next book that I did some research on, and I have it here, is called The Bluest Eye. Now, this is approved for high school curriculum in our schools here in Virginia Beach. The Bluest Eye, in several parts, and if you Google this, you can find the language. I'm not going to read it. It is extremely disturbing. It talks in great detail about a father raping and molesting his child and how he got pleasure in it. And this is approved for use in our high school curriculum. These books are vetted. And it got approved.
Manning did add Beyond Magenta by Susan Cuckland and Good Trouble, Lessons from the Civil Rights Playbook by Christopher Nixon on the list. It's unclear why they are being questioned. Okay, you haven't read the book, but you want to ban the book. And she's like, this is not stuff that high school students should be reading.
Hey, pause it right there. Let's go to clip 2. Let's go to clip 2. This is when they came to me on the panel talking about Toni Morrison and banning this book and other books also.
Standardized test models. Literature is important. Black literature is important. And clearly she doesn't understand that at all.
But we're not dealing with the smartest or the sharpest knife in the drawer, Michael.
Well, this is, this whole takeover, this whole initiative to run for school board offices and take over school board offices by conservatives. Part of this is coming from Steve Bannon, who did a podcast on this. This podcast has been downloaded millions of times. And this is an effort also that's financed by conservative right-wing think tanks as well. And they turn their animosity towards mask mandates. They've turned this towards taking over school boards. And Steve Bannon said the way to political power in America now is through local school boards. So this is one of the things that we're seeing, either bans on books targeting African Americans and non-white people. We saw this in York, Pennsylvania. We see something like this, a call for a ban on children's books, 4 children's books targeting that deal with the civil rights movement in Tennessee. That's taking place right now as well. So and you're going to see this continue as well. Now we have to have an opposite force that fights back against this, because this is an organized finance effort also. This is not just, even though they're crazy people, they're organized crazy people.
Yep.
This is what we have to understand.
Pause right there. Organized crazy people. Read this article here, the 17-page expose from NBC News. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. Critical race theory battle invades school boards with help from conservative groups. Okay, visit our website, African History. I think they're playing the song about a minute early, but visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. Information is there about the Social Justice Conference 2021 at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church in Detroit, taking place Saturday, October 16th, 2021. My workshop is at 10 a.m. in room 306. We have information on our website about that as well. And then also visit Hartford Memorial Baptist Church's website, hmbcdetroit.org. We'll see you there. Keynote speaker is Minnesota State's Attorney General Keith Ellison, who led the prosecution of Derek Chauvin and the murder of George Floyd. You can support us, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show. Right now, let's correct wrong behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you Sunday, and we'll see you at the church on Saturday. Peace. Stand by, everybody. Stand by. Stand by. Hold on. Let me disconnect this call. All right. I think they were playing my theme song about a minute too early, but anyway. Okay. We're going to squeeze this in because I got to finish working on my presentation. I'm not going to get a lot of sleep tonight because I have to be at the church early in the morning. We're going to squeeze this in because it's the 55th anniversary of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. We'll go to this here in just a second. Read this article here from the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast wrote a big article that Black America Web picked up. I posted an article back on October 13th from Black America Web about Toni Morrison. Toni Morrison and other race-related books requested to be banned by Virginia Beach School Board member. They picked that article up from this one here from Zoe Richards for the Daily Beast, thedailybeast.com. Virginia School Board wokeness checker, quote unquote, wokeness checker wants Toni Morrison banned for porn. And I haven't read the Bluest Eye, but my understanding is not promoting incest and molestation, is speaking out against it. Okay. So this woman and the other one. So you have Victoria Manning, at-large school board member Victoria Manning, and another named Laura Hughes have come together to demand that 4 books be removed from curriculums based on quote unquote pornographic nature found in the reading. Okay, so we'll talk about this some more. This is Victoria Manning right here. She has a little video that she did. She's speaking out against these books. And we're going to have to we're going to have to run for more of these school board positions and block a lot of this nonsense that's taking place on these school boards. All right. If we look at this piece here, the Daily Beast, a school board member who runs a wokeness checker snitch site has pressed a Virginia school district to purge 6 books from its shelves, alleging that the books, including a seminal Toni Morrison novel, are rife with pornographic content. In an email sent to Virginia Beach City Public Schools, Superintendent Aaron Spence earlier this week, at-large school board member Victoria Manning said that another board member, Laura Hughes, joined her in demanding 4 books be removed from circulation or in the use or used in the district's curriculum, quote unquote, due to their pornographic nature. Now, Victoria Manning said, it has been brought to my attention by some parents that there are some disturbing books in our district that are available to students. She wrote on October 5th, 2021, I would like to ask that you pull these books from shelves and also block any electronic access by students to getting these books immediately. Now, Victoria Manning demanded that the staff involved in approving the books be disciplined. Spence replied that 4 of the books that were not a part of district curriculum had been removed pending a review. The list of disturbing titles included Lawn Boy by Jonathan Everson, Gender Queer by Maya Kebab, A Lesson Before Dying by Ernest Gaines, and The Bluest Eye by Toni Morrison. Now, according, let's see here, according to Virginia Beach City Public Schools Superintendent Aaron Spence, Victoria Manning had also separately requested the review of 2 other books, Beyond Magenta and Good Trouble, Lessons from the Civil Rights Playbook. Good Trouble is the phrase from John Lewis, Representative John Lewis. The review first reported the Virginian pilot comes weeks after another Virginia district, Fairfax County Public Schools, pulled 2 books attacked by Victoria Manning from high school libraries after complaints at a school board meeting about sexually explicit and homoerotic content. The emails were made available through a public records request and later obtained by the Daily Beast. Okay, you can read the rest of this here. Virginia School Board wokeness checker wants Toni Morrison banned for porn. So there's a increased effort by conservatives to take over school boards, okay, so they can control what's being taught in schools, control the books that are being used, control content. While at the same time in the state legislatures, Republicans are passing laws dealing with critical race theory, even though critical race theory is not taught in K through 12 schools. We're going to talk about a story on, we talked about it briefly today in Roland Martin Unfiltered. We'll talk about it on Sunday out of Texas, where the one of the district authorities, one of the district heads said, and I wrote it down here. Here it is. Gina, I think it's Gina Petty, Carroll Independent School District in South Lake, Texas. Okay. And she was saying that if you teach about the Holocaust, teach about the other side of the Holocaust. Okay. Or teach about the, basically she was saying, you also have to teach an opposing view of the Holocaust. Okay. Well, she wasn't making that up. When you listen to the actual recording, the full record, well, as much as we have, she's on the teacher's side. She was saying, look, if this is, they were talking to, I think they were talking to educational consultants, and they were saying, look, if this is the book that you want to use, we'll back you on this. But she made reference to Texas House Bill 3979, which deals with having to teach an opposing, when it comes to history lessons and things like this, having to teach an opposing view as well. So she's citing the law, not because she wants to, but trying to avoid a lawsuit. Okay, so when you listen to like the full context, we'll talk about this on Sunday show. These are the crazy things taking place. So if people just look at the headlines and say, independent school district representative, independent school district superintendent or something said, you have to teach about the opposing view of the Holocaust. They don't understand full context. No, that's coming from state law. And she's saying, okay, look, we'll support you if this is the textbook you want to use, etc. Just keep in mind, you got to teach an opposing view. That's to avoid a lawsuit from the state. And she says this question has come up before because teachers are scared. A lot of teachers are afraid about what they can teach in school and what they can't teach. So you have to, but this is once again how elections have consequences and how state elections are so important. State elections are so important. While we were looking at that clip from, we listened to the interview with Representative Al Green of Texas, I showed this on the screen also. Now, we deal with this in the online course that I teach, from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968, which you can register for at our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. I teach that on Saturdays. This article here is from History.com, official website of the History Channel, how Jim Crow era laws suppressed the African American vote for generations. How Jim Crow era laws suppressed the African American vote for generations. Okay, and in this article here, we heard Representative Al Green talk about all-white primaries in Texas. Okay, we'll talk about all-white primaries as well. And when we look at this article, we scroll down. They talk about Mississippi State in 1890. They talk about literacy tests. They look at tactics that were used to suppress the African American vote, poll taxes in various southern states. Then we go to all-white primaries, which you've heard me talk about before. You've heard me talk about the Texas State Constitution of 1876 in the all-white primaries, things like this. When literacy tests, poll taxes, grandfather clauses, and we see the grandfather clauses instituted in 1898 in places like Louisiana in their state constitution. When literacy tests, poll taxes, grandfather clauses, and the many other ways to circumvent the 15th Amendment did not work to suppress Black voter turnout, white legislators in several southern states used all-white primaries to all but eliminate black voters' presence in the electoral process. In Texas, for example, the Texas state legislature gave the Democratic Party the authority to set its own rules. The party determined that it was for white voters only. The party determined it was for white voters only, excluding African Americans from its elections and effectively making local electoral politics dominated by one party that upheld Jim Crow laws. After a white election official blocked an African American man named Lonnie E. Smith, blocked his right to vote in the 1940 Texas Democratic primary, the NAACP's Thurgood Marshall and William H. Hastie challenged the case all the way to the U.S. Supreme Court. In 1944, the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Smith versus Allwright that the Texas white primary system was unconstitutional. Quote, the right to vote in a primary for the nomination of candidates without discrimination by the state is a right secured by the Constitution, end quote, said the U.S. Supreme Court in its 8-1 decision. So this is what Representative Al Green was talking about. This is what I've been talking about before when we deal with these all-white primaries. But we look at the obstacles that were put in the way of the 15th Amendment, especially we see these in the 1890s to the early 1900s, these former Confederate states doing this. All right. So read that article and then also visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. When you scroll down the page, we have the information for the 2 online courses that I teach. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. Ancient Kemet, one of the original names for Egypt. Ancient Kemet, the Moors, and the Maafa, Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade, what they didn't teach you in school. This class, we deal with thousands of years of history and what led up to the transatlantic slave trade taking place. We also deal with the 800-year occupation of Europe by the Africans known as the Moors. We do the sessions live. All the sessions are archived. They're recorded, so you can go back and watch them anytime, even after the 10-week online course is over with. We do this class on Sundays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Click on register here. It takes you to the next page. And on the next page, just click on enroll. As soon as you register, you can start watching the content. You can watch last week's class, and you'll be ready for a class this weekend on Sunday. And then the other class that I teach is from the Civil War to the Civil Rights Movement and Black Power, 1865 to 1968. This class picks up where Understanding the Transatlantic Slave Trade leaves off, okay? And we do this one on Saturdays, 12 noon to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. This one here is on sale, $70, regularly $130. And we go through, we deal with some history leading up to the Civil War taking place. So we start in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase, okay? And then we look at, start in 1803 with the Louisiana Purchase. And then we go through history and we look at the Civil War, Reconstruction era, 1865 to 1877. We look at the 1865 to 1877. We look at the Jim Crow era, World War I, World War II, Black migration, Civil Rights Movement, Black Power movement. Okay. So we go through each class, we go through and analyze approximately a 10-year period of history to see what happened to us after the Civil War ended and what were the laws and policies put in place to suppress and attack African Americans, but also look at our successes as well: land acquisition, ownership of farms, businesses we create, things, etc. Okay. All right. So register for that one as well. Okay. Very quickly here. Today is the 55th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, founded October 16th, 1966 in Oakland, California, by Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton. And I gave Huey P. Newton a shout out on Roland Martin Unfiltered today because It's the 55th anniversary. Number one is the 55th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, and also Huey P. Newton was one of my frat brothers as well, of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated. So was Kwame Nkrumah, first Prime Minister of Ghana. So I did some posts today about the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. This is a busy day because I'm getting ready. I had to get ready for Roland's show, do 2 hours there, then prepare for this show, but also prepare for the presentation at Hartford Memorial Baptist Church, prepare for the conference. I follow Bobby Seale with Facebook friends, and he did a post today that I shared on our Facebook pages. My Facebook page, the African History Network, and my personal page also. I want to pull this up here. Bobby Seale, co-founder of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Let's go to this here. A second, where is this? Right here. So now he posted this on October 8th. Okay, but it's a good history lesson, especially for today. Hold on, So he said the original Black Panther Party initiated some of the most profound progressive politics that emerged out of the Black community. The party set up coalitions working face to face with all of our white radical friends, because they weren't contrary to popular belief, the Black Panthers were not against white people. They were against white supremacy. They worked with radical white groups. They worked with Puerto Ricans, the Young Lords, Latinos, things like this. They were against white supremacy. They weren't against white people. When they said all power to the people, they talked about how brown people should have brown power, yellow people should have yellow power, black people should have black power, white people should have white power. They're talking about like poor white people. They're not talking about the white power structure, but they're saying the masses of people should be empowered, regardless of race. The masses of people should be empowered. They were against exploitation. They were against especially white corporations exploiting people. Okay, they were against exploitation, period. So the party set up coalitions working face to face with all of our white radical friends, young Hispanics and Puerto Ricans of the Young Lords organization, young Mexican American Chicano brothers and sisters with the Brown Berets and the Cesar Chavez farm labor movement. We also work directly with AIM, the American Indian movement. I'm just saying that that's the kind of progressive, all power to all the people politics we were all about. All power to all the people. We crossed racial lines, ran our organization without any intellectual or offbeat abstract academic dictates. We refused to allow for that because our concept and our method was putting theory into practice. Our concept and our method was putting theory into practice. You can't be outside of something that's oppressing you. You can't be outside of something that's oppressing you. You have to get right into the middle of it, change its structure, change its direction, change the laws, change the policy to truly serve the empowerment of the people. The Young Black Panther Party for Self-Defense rank and file members, young student others, put together a free ambulance program for the people. And see, this is one of the things I've talked about before. Having studied the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense, a lot of people focus on the black leather jackets and the berets and the guns, things like this. More importantly than that were the programs they put together to serve the people in the community. They put together a free health clinic with a free pharmacy program. They put together the free breakfast for children programs that serve the people in the communities. This is what all chapters and branches did. This was not rhetoric. This was not talk. These were tangible programs. This was what I call the physical manifestation of their pontification. Because I hear people all the time, we need this, we need that. Ain't nobody doing this, ain't nobody doing that. As I said at the event, the screening for the documentary Hot P, which deals with the role of economics in the development of civilization. And when I was moderating the panel discussion, and I said, a lot of people, I hear people saying, oh, ain't nobody doing this, ain't nobody doing that. I said, oftentimes people are, you just aren't one of them. Oftentimes people are doing what people say, oh, they need to do this, they need to do that, economic, all this. A lot of times people are doing this, you may just not be one of them. That's all. Because birds of a feather flock together. So if you're into urban farming, other people who are into urban farming. Okay, if you're into teaching entrepreneurship, then you most likely other people who are into teaching entrepreneurship. Birds of a feather flock together. You belong to the same organizations or similar organizations. You go to the same events, things like this. So if you're saying ain't nobody doing this and that, well, it probably means you're not one of them. Okay, let's continue here for a few more minutes. I have to get out of here. Now, this is what, but going back to Bobby Seale, co-founder of the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. He said they put together the free breakfast for children programs that serve the people in those communities. This is what all chapters and branches did. This was not rhetoric. This was not talk. These were tangible programs. What a lot of people forget is an important part of the real history of the original Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Yes, we had a lot of shootouts and a lot of battles with the police. Yes, we had a lot of shootouts and a lot of battles when the police attacked us, when the police would send their law enforcement agencies in on us. J. Edgar Hoover and the FBI were out to smash us, trying to terrorize us out of existence. They killed 29 of my people in this country, particularly in the year 1969. They attacked our offices, they attacked our homes, and we vowed to defend ourselves. All we were doing was defending our constitutional, democratic, civil, human right to exercise our political, electoral, community power to organize the people and serve the people. The FBI's Director J. Edgar Hoover became involved in stopping the original Black Panther Party as the party began to gain prominence during 1967 and 1968. As COINTELPRO, counterintelligence program, was started in August. As COINTELPRO had been established in 1956 to police, quote unquote, political radicals within the United States, focus and pressure now came into the Black Panther Party. On December 15th, 1968, J. Edgar Hoover declared the Black Panther Party, without question, represents the greatest threat to the internal security of the country. The greatest threat to the internal security of the country, quote unquote. He pledged that 1969 would be the last year of the Black Panther Party's existence. J. Edgar Hoover had also been quoted as saying that it was not the guns that were the greatest threat, but the Black Panther Party's free children's breakfast program that was the greatest threat to the internal security of the United States of America. An interview with former FBI agent M. Wesley Swearingen, Swearingen, whose book called the FBI Secrets, or FBI Secrets, will highlight the Bureau's counterintelligence programs, covert campaign to neutralize, disrupt, and discredit the Black Panther Party for Self-Defense. Under J. Edgar Hoover's reign, the party suffered immensely, which resulted in many of its members being assassinated or imprisoned. By 1970, Eldridge Cleaver was in exile. Key leadership members such as Apprentice Bunchy Carter, John Huggins, and Fred Hampton had been assassinated, and Geronimo Pratt, Angela Davis, and I were in prison. This is, once again, this is Bobby Seale writing this. There is an entire generation of young people who know nothing about how viciously the FBI attacked us and why. Even people of my generation don't know that J. Edgar Hoover said that the Black Panther Party's Breakfast for Children program represented the greatest threat to America's national security. Most people also don't know that the original Black Panther Party survived the onslaught of the FBI's counterintelligence program attacks. In fact, we won 95% of our courtroom cases. This is the true history of the original Black Panther Party, its true legacy, and an example of how we, the people, must continue the work together as the Black Panther Party did with its allies through coalitions to proactively preserve our constitutional rights. Okay, read the rest of this here. Okay, it's a paragraph. At this time, more than ever, we need activists who are motivated and dedicated to organizing people, raising consciousness, and instilling self-respect. Organizing people, raising consciousness, and instilling self-respect. We need socially conscious activists who will work toward the economic empowerment of our people. We need activists who cross all ethnic and religious backgrounds and color lines, who will work to achieve true freedom and justice and establish civil and human rights for all. We must create a world of decent human relationships where revolutionary humanism is grounded in democratic human rights for every person on earth. I mean, you read this, I mean, he sounds like Dr. King, especially Dr. King 67, 68. But I mean, keep in mind, Dr. King owned guns till Bayard Rustin convinced him to get rid of his guns. Dr. King tried to get a concealed pistol license in Montgomery, Alabama in 1956 during the Montgomery bus boycott. We haven't studied Dr. King. Okay, visit Bobby Seale's website, bobbyseale.com, BOBBYSEALE.com. He closed this All Power to the People, Bobby Seale. Visit his website. He has his book there as well that you can purchase. You can support him. And follow him on Facebook at Bobby Seale on Facebook also. Okay. Now, I want to go to this clip here from this is an interview with Huey P. Newton. And this is part of Eyes on the Prize, the second installment that looked at 1965 to 1985. Okay, Eyes on the Prize. I want to go to this clip, and Huey P. Newton is talking about the formation of the Black Panther Party and what they accomplished. He talks about the killing of Bobby Hutton also. Let's go to this. Let me pull up this clip here. Where is that? All right. Okay, this is only about 5 minutes, and I've got to go because I have to finish this presentation, and I have to get up early in the morning. I need to be there like about 7:30, 8 a.m., something like that. I'm usually not even up at that time. All right, let's go to this clip. Stand by.
Who was Bobby Hutton, and why did his death affect the party so deeply?
Bobby Hutton was the first member of the Black Panther Party. He was recruited at the North Oakland Service Center, and October 66. I believe he was 15 at the time. Our first recruiting, we made him treasurer, and he was like my little brother that I never had, and he was the inspiration of the party, because the party was very youth oriented. And while he worked at the North Oakland Service Center, we tutored him and politicized him. And until he was killed, that I really couldn't not really imagine any of our party members being murdered, even though that I knew that risk took place. I was in the county jail at the time of his murder. This was the day that Martin Luther King was assassinated. And after he was killed, and it was like that, I felt that anyone in the party, I felt the party vulnerable. So he was very loved as a youth in the party and as a first member.
Where did you see the Black Panther Party headed by the end of 68? Technically, you're the seals, indictment, cleavers out of the country. What did you think?
Well, again, that I wanted to emphasize the community development aspect of the party. We were at the time that we were just creating we were planning our creation of community school. We were having busing programs to prisons where we would pick up community people and take them to the various penal institutions. I felt that we should turn away from the arms because too much had been made of them, and I thought that the arms had served their purpose as far as being a catalyst to gain enthusiasm of the community.
But what did you think was going to happen? Were you aware that the federal government was on the Panthers' tail at that point?
Oh yeah, I was very well aware of that. Was one of the reasons that we didn't want the. We were.
I'm sorry, can you just rephrase?
All right. During the period of 68, 69, the federal government had declared all-out war on the party, and they were breaking into headquarters across the chapters, breaking into chapter headquarters across the country, and filming weapons and saying that, look, they have guns. It was never mentioned that the guns were legal weapons. They were doing everything to make the community afraid of the party. And of course, you can't organize when people are afraid of you. So I was inclined to try to develop more local politics, to run local members for various offices, and develop our 10-point program, which was a housing and food and health program.
Okay, so that is that's from Eyes on the Prize in 1985. That was Huey P. Newton, Dr. Huey P. Newton. He went on to get a PhD. In the second incarnation of Eyes on the Prize came out in 1989. Eyes on the Prize 2, America at the Racial Crossroads. It dealt with 1965 to 1985. Okay, that's on YouTube. We'll post the link here for that. All right, now, lastly, check out this article here. I posted this on our Facebook pages. Oakland celebrates 55th anniversary of the founding of the Black Panther Party for self-defense. Oakland celebrates 55th anniversary of the Black Panthers. This is from KALW.org news. KALW public media 91.7 FM Bay Area, KALW.org news. And there's a grave marker here commemorating Bobby Hutton in Mountain View Cemetery in Oakland, California. Okay, he was killed April 6, 1968. Little Bobby Hutton, Hutton, first member and treasurer of the Black Panther Party. All power to the people. Okay, so readers, there was a film festival, Healing Circle, and augmented reality app launch are just a few of the offerings scheduled for the Black Panther Party's 55th year celebration. The Black Panther Party was founded October 15, 1966 in Oakland, California by Merritt College students Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton to support the needs of the Black community. The party offered a wide range of services, including legal aid, food, housing, education, and healthcare. Since 2005, a group called the Black Panther Party Alumni and Legacy has commemorated October as Black Panther Party History Month. October is Black Panther Party History Month. This year's anniversary celebration kicked off 2 weeks ago at downtown Oakland's Joyce Gordon Art Gallery, which launched an exhibition of Black Panther Party archives and artwork. More local events will take place at the end of next week and directly engage historical sites around the city. Those include West Oakland's Bobby Hutton Park and It's All Good Bakery, which currently operates at the site of the party's original headquarters. All right. The celebration will conclude on Sunday, October 24th, with the unveiling of the Dr. Huey P. Newton Memorial Bust in West Oakland, California. The bronze statue is designed by Oakland-based artist Dana King. You can find more information about the events at BPP55th year celebration.com, BPP55th year celebration.com. So check out this piece here from KAL.org. Oakland celebrates 55th anniversary of the Black Panthers. This is from October 13th, 2021. All right, look, if you like this type of information, you can support the African History Network, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, $ the AHN Show through Cash App, also through PayPal, paypal.me/the AHN Show, paypal.me/the AHN Show. We have 6 days a week. This helps us keep doing the research, stay on the air, keep broadcasting. Also, you can visit our website, AfricanHistoryNetwork.com. We have the information there as well. All my DVD lectures and digital downloads are at our website also. So this helps us stay on the air. And then you can register for my online courses at our website as well. All right, we have to get out of here. Remember, at the African History Network, we focus on educating, empowering, and inspiring people of African descent throughout the diaspora and around the world. Because right now, it's correct your own behavior. It's not over till we win. Wakanda forever. We'll talk to you on Sunday. Peace. Thanks for tuning in.